Hey guys, so excuse this really funky angle. It's kind of late in the day here, so it's still high, but the way it was coming in my usual setup, which is like I would usually put my camera up here and film with like this behind me, the light is really dark, so without using like my ceiling light, which would cast too much, like as it is, like the window like is kind of casting a little bit over here. So I'm just trying to get the best angle, so please excuse like if there's anything in the background that I have failed to see and move that's going to embarrass me. Just ignore it or put it in the DMs below and let me know. But the purpose of today's video is to take you guys through a bit of the application process. I will probably do this in a few different sections, maybe not. Let's just see how long this video runs and get on with it. I do have blog posts about my application process, which goes through a lot of detail, and I wrote those quite a while ago, last year when I first started my blog. That was some of the first things I did. So if you do want to get some more detail or just more details about my life in Korea and stuff like that, you can, like, I'll put links to my blog below. But yeah, hopefully this really helps you guys. Obviously this is specific to my journey coming from Australia and specific to applying for EPIK as well. You know, it will be a little bit different to Hagwon, which is the private academies or international schools or anything like that. You know, just take what I'm saying here with a grain of salt. Honking cars outside. I'm just doing the best I can, guys. Yeah, so when I decided to move to Korea, mate, you mind? Seriously. I don't have anything keeping me in Australia, and I was like, I want to live overseas. I want to live in Asia, but I was scared. I didn't want to move and be like, what the fuck am I going to do? So I just basically Googled how to get a job in Asia when you only speak English. And that led me to teaching, and that led me to Korea. That's how I got to this option. My research formed my opinion on why I would want to come and live in Korea. I didn't have a love for Korea or a love for teaching before I came here. So when I was Googling, I stumbled across a site called Global Work and Travel. They're a big company in Australia which helps people move overseas or do volunteering overseas, and they have a lot of different platforms and blah, 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 blah. When you do apply for EPIK, you have two different options. Most people will apply through a recruiter, which help you manage the recruitment process, but then you can apply directly through EPIK as well. It's really up to you. I decided to go through a recruiter. I was working full time. I was working long hours. I just wanted to get a lot of the stress taken away and just have someone help me through the process and sort of hold my hand a little bit. They were the ones that sort of got me started. I actually did most of my application through a company called Explore Asia. So if you are looking for a company, I did my TESOL and everything through them. So I would say just go through Explore Asia. I'll leave links and stuff like that below. You obviously cut out another fee and stuff like that. If I had known it, you know, I would have done it at the time. If you want to hear about the hilarious story of me when I was first on the phone with them, I was stuck in traffic with roommates driving from my house the 2 hours to my parents' house. And basically I was doing like a little interview, and then I was like, you know what, let's do it. Let's do it. Fine. Let's do it. Let's pull over on the side of the freeway and pay my deposit. Like, you don't have to do it like that. Be a sane person and like take time to think. There's no pressure when you're on the phone with these people as well. So if you want to like read the hilarious story, please do, as well as my parents, especially my mother's reaction, then yeah, I'll link it below for you guys. Once you do pay the deposit, they set you up with like an online dashboard. It counts down how long you have, and then it has a list of everything that you need to upload to prepare your EPIK application. So things like you need to get 2 work references. They give you a template you need to use, a CV, cover letter. Again, they give you a template that you need to use. There's a medical history questionnaire, you know, basic personal information, contact information, your degree, your transcripts, like some photos, and they let you know a bunch of stuff that you'll then need later on when you move over here, just to prepare you so that you have it. So once everything was in, I paid for the remainder after the deposit as well, and I got hooked up with Explore Asia. They booked me in for my TESOL. A TESOL is your Teach English as a Second Language English certificate. It's just so you can teach English. In South Korea, you need to have a degree, so any basic bachelor's degree and a TESOL certificate. There are a lot of countries where you don't need a degree. You can just teach with your TESOL or with a TEFL. I think it's Teach English as a Foreign Language. They're pretty much interchangeable from what I understand. When I was doing my TESOL certificate, you had like standard weekly assignments that you had to do. And you had to give like feedback on other people, but there were sort of like little things that they would pop up on the Monday being like, by Friday, please also do this other task. I found it took about a day a week for me to do it. I was doing it online. They said it was a 20-hour-a-week thing. I didn't think it took 20 hours a week. I would say a good day would be enough most of the time. I personally didn't find it too challenging to complete, but I guess everyone is different. And I know there's a lot of people who have also done theirs in person. I think because of my experience and my degree, I could do the option that I did online, but sometimes you do have to do an in-person version, especially if you don't have a degree. So once you have that, you have to get your documentation notarized and apostilled from a lawyer. That's when you sort of keep your, I guess, waiting mindset ready to go for when your application's open. So there are 2 different semesters that you can apply for. I came in the middle of the year, so not at the beginning of the school year. I came in August, but the beginning of the school year is actually like February. So the biggest intake is in February, and I came in the smaller intake. When you are applying, it is really a waiting game, especially if you're someone like me who applied and knew that they wanted to do it quite far in advance. So I was really just waiting. I got practice applications from Explore Asia. I also did practice interviews with them, which were great because I could ask a lot of questions. By the time the applications open, I pretty much had my entire application already written up. And then I just had to actually do the interview, which is where things went wrong, because I was in Melbourne actually on a holiday and about to go to New Zealand for volunteering and a holiday when they decided to schedule the interviews like last minute. And I was just like, fuck. So I had to do it at my friend's house. Thanks, Ash. Shout out for like bearing with me through the whole process, because my interview was like 3 hours late. It was crazy. They also told me, they're like, you get your 30-minute time slot. That is it. If it's less than 20 minutes, you've done shit. Just don't think you got anything. But the guy rocked up. Like I said, it was rescheduled 3 hours later. The guy did not turn his camera on the entire time. I was talking to a black screen. It was so off-putting. And my application on his end was virtually blank. He had none of my long responses, none of my sample like lesson plans, nothing. So I'm sitting there like holding it up to the camera, trying to show this guy. He just has my attachments and that's it, and like my name and details and basic stuff. Anything that had a long response was missing, which was the important parts of the application. So I was just trying to roll with it, and I don't know if that like thinking on my feet helped get me across the line. But, like, come on, mate. Could have just turned it on so I could see that I was talking to a person. It was, but yeah, all done and dusted. I got the job, obviously. And the types of questions that they asked were a lot, I don't know, I think it's different depending on the type of person you're with. I think because I had work experience, it was more like, why am I moving to Korea? What do I know about Korean culture? How will I adjust? He asked me about being vegetarian because I said that I was vegetarian. He's like, you know what eating in Korea is like, and just sort of making sure, I guess, that I would adjust to life more than anything else. I think because he just didn't seem to be too worried, because he was like, yeah, your work experience is fine. And once you finish your interview and you wait a few weeks, like wait a little bit of time, and they're like, yes, you got the job. I think it was quite quick, maybe like a week or 10 days later. Oh, sorry, I just knocked that. Pretty much at that point, they're just like, you have to hand everything in straight away. So I had my entire application with me when I went overseas, and in New Zealand I actually had to send it off, because especially for Seoul, it's first in, like best dressed. If your application is received too late, even if you've been offered a role, it doesn't mean that you're going to get Seoul. So do make sure as well that when you send things off, every signature, every letter, every document has to be a true copy. So if you have a letter of recommendation that's been sent to you by email, you also need them to post you a copy, because you need to have their original signature on the document, not just like an e-signature. So I think I rambled on a little bit there, but Hopefully you got a bit of an idea just then about what the first stage of the application process is. Basically, it's like you start, you do your TESOL certificate if you haven't already, then you wait for your interview, you have some prep time in there. Once the application's once the application's open, you submit your application. Your interview's very soon after that. Very soon after that, you have to hand in your documents and send those off. And then again, very soon after that, you get the confirmation and your contract saying, yes, you've got your position. You have to send off the contract very quickly. Like I said, I'll film a little bit more about the next stage of the application and process and stuff like that now, because I want these to be a bit more digestible. Don't forget, like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Get all over my social medias. Share this video if you know other people that are interested. I like to hear from you. So yeah, do all of that. And until next time, this is the Kimchi Adventures.